Bienvenidos, señoras y señores, to another episode of the Bleed Lows podcast. This episode of the Bleed Lows podcast is brought to you by Bet Online. Bet Online is your number one source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, football, college football, boxing, golf, and more. Bet Online continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting, and your favorite casino and card games are available to play right from your phone. So head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use the promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. Bienvenidos, señoras and señores, to another episode of the Bleed Lows podcast. This is a very special episode of the Bleed Lows podcast because guess what? It is our 200th episode. That's right. We have done 200 episodes now where we have broadcast to nobody because we're not sure if anybody watches us or listens to us, but it's 200 episodes. Do you believe this? Babyface, congratulations. You did it. You made it to 200.
Well, I don't know why you're congratulating me because this is as you can see, we have everybody, well, minus one person that's helped us on this road to 200. Lisa Hernandez is the only one that has helped on a couple episodes. She's not here. But everybody else, you see, everybody has been a part of these 200 episodes. And I wanted to get everybody on here, which was a battle to get everybody on here at one time. But I wanted to get on to thank you guys for obviously for your time, most of all, and for committing to this and doing this. And, you know, like I was saying, 200 episodes. I mean, that's a lot of episodes, right? That's like what, like 50 hours of time that we've spent together on here or whatever, probably more, right? I'm not good at math, but yeah, just for that commitment. And I mean, 200 episodes, like I said, I mean, that's a lot of episodes that we've done. And obviously I can't do this alone and I have all you guys to thank. And so each one of you, I thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for doing this and for putting on this podcast, which I think is the best Dodgers podcast, but I may be biased, but but thank you guys all, each and every one of you.
So I was kidding around saying that like nobody listens to us or anything like that, but I just want to point out to everybody right now, we hit the number 65 spot earlier today at the time of this recording. Wow. Out of all the baseball podcasts in the USA. To let you guys know how much progress we've made, it only goes up to 200. So when we first started, we never even got within the 200 mark. Okay. And then we started making a little progress and we broke into the 200 and then we would break into 100. There was one period in season 2 that I think we got into the late 50s. It lasted for a day, but to get here lately, the last few weeks, we have been consistently in the top 100. So it is congratulations go to everybody, not everybody that works on the show, all the contributors, all the hosts, but our listeners. We did a live earlier. We have our loyal fan base who comes on the lives. I mean, I have an update. I don't think Alonzo knows, but Sports Empire came back. We had not heard for Sports Empire for a year, and he just showed up on the live, and I was so happy. I was so excited to because Sports Empire gets our wrestling references, so I was so happy for that. But yes, this has just been. I didn't know what to expect when I first joined Babyface and Alonzo on this adventure, and to think that we got to 200 episodes. That's kind of nuts. I want to start off with Alonzo because Alonzo's the guy who started this. For those of you guys don't know this, Alonzo was doing this show by himself. He was hosting this thing. He was going solo. I don't know how he did it, but Alonzo, I'll let you share your story.
Yeah, we started. Roger and I started. I don't remember how the connection took place, but it did. And then, and I will be 1,000% honest, doing it by yourself is hard. And it's funny because I had, for those of you that don't know, I come from the touring world. So I had done a podcast with like friends, right? I'd had friends on, But it was one thing where like I'm talking to friends that I toured with, and it's another when you're by yourself talking baseball. Like that's honestly, I don't know how like Vin Scully did it. That's why, like when we talk to anyone that's Jaime Harin, those sorts of people, that's why I would kind of pick their brain about it, because it's really hard to just make those references on your own, and that's why I always tip my cap to the Joe Davises of the world and those guys, because literally you have to fill 9 innings, and thank God there's a pitch clock now, because I don't know how they did it before. But it's crazy that we went from all that, like doing post game shows, like after the playoffs and like the World Series and stuff, to I remember I was coming back from a business trip and I hauled ass to get home to catch the end of the game so me, Juan, and Roger could celebrate them winning the 2020 World Series. And I was literally like, I was so sketched out that I wasn't going to make it home in time because I was listening to the game as I traveled, and also because of COVID. Like that was the other crazy thing, it was during COVID. But this was kind of how I guess we socialized, for lack of a better term, during then. And then from that to now, 200 episodes, it's kind of crazy because now, like, I mean, obviously I've had to step away for family reasons for a little bit, but I'll come back eventually. But like we talk just about every day, right? And even that's been weird, like not talking about whatever because of what's going on. But then from there, like some of these guests have become friends, right? Like Joe Kelly, friend. Joe Bimo, friend. Like he and I talk a lot via the text. Eric Gagne, friend. He'll randomly email me whatever, and it's just like, dude, are you sure you meant to send that to me? Like sometimes I ask myself that question, and I'm not saying that's a name drop at all. The reason I'm saying it is like you don't realize kind of what to expect with it all, right? And with it comes relationships that are formulated, right? Like Alicia's become a good friend, Juan's become a good friend, Roger's gonna become a good friend. I'm not gonna sit here and say that Cody and Boatman and Amy are great friends because I've been away, right? But
I barely like Roger and Juan, so you're fine, Alonso. Don't worry.
Hey, listen, that's the general consensus in the greater Los Angeles area anyway, so I think you're in the majority.
Oh wow. That's a whole nother podcast in and of itself. I want to be in on that one.
Don't worry, there is a spinoff coming at some point. But it's but even then, kind of the stuff we've gotten to do right along the way, like getting invited by Fluffy to go to a WrestleMania launch thing was dope. This year doing Fernando Valenzuela as kind of episode 1 of the thing, which is a bucket list for all of us. So it's crazy that we've gotten to 200 episodes, but how much we've also done in those 200 episodes. It's super humbling. So to the 14 people in Israel that listen to us, thank you. Because without you guys, we would not. I'm really mad, by the way, Juan, that we're not the 69th best podcast
right?
I'm so mad about that. You have no idea how triggered I was when you said 65.
that would have been more appropriate. So I joined after Alonso, then we started doing it, and then La Princesa de Picolandia came on. So Princesa, share with some of our listeners who don't know how you lost a bet and kind of were forced to hang out with us on the show.
Forced is a strong word. I was
Stockholm syndrome.
Right. I was fortunate enough to be invited as a guest, if you remember. And I admit, and this is public knowledge, so it's not breaking news or hot take, that I've not been a fan of podcasts. So I just came on to just blabber on about something we all love, baseball. And I was very intrigued because you guys, Bleed Los, is the only podcast that has that flavor, like they're focusing on certain themes that were missing from other podcasts. And so that was fun. And when I think Roger, was it 15 minutes, or I forgot how long we were supposed to go, 20? And we ended up doubling that time, I think. I might have taken it over. Sorry, I tend to talk a lot. That's why I used to get paid to talk for a living. But it's just been fun. And it really has kind come at a really great time in my life where I'm slowing down in general. And now I really, truly appreciate podcasting as a form of, storytelling, of media. And so through you guys, through Bleed Low, kind of forced me to pay attention to podcasting. And now I'm grateful. And I had to step away as well. But it's good to be back. And I so enjoy seeing all the contributors, all of the co-hosts. Do you say co-host or is it a co-podcaster? What do you say? Co-host, right? I don't know.
Yeah, sure. I mean, whatever you want to call it. We'll go. I mean, try not
There's
to make
no,
us
like,
look too
formality
professional
stuff.
here.
Is it an entanglement? I mean, what are we calling it at this point?
Whoa.
Entrapment. I think
That's
is
a lot of
more
us, though.
fitting.
A lot of us.
Yeah.
That's another episode too.
Conspiracy
also
also
bring
is a
up-
fitting one for the script too.
I wanted to bring up how you quickly got into a wrestling reference, Juan, as soon as you started this gathering. And I wanted to write down the time and I did it in my brain, ADHD. But I've also learned to love and appreciate wrestling, which I never in a million years thought that would happen. And now I'm reading a book, The Good, the Bad, and the Exotico. And I'm really trying to learn as much as I can because there are still so many references that go over my head. Amy, do you have this problem or are you also a wrestling fan?
I have not watched wrestling since I was little. I think I used to watch Glow or something like that, like back in the day. We used to call it the Wrestling Ladies, and we'd get like super excited on Saturday mornings. But yeah, that's about my exposure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, the wrestling things.
do enjoy it.
The wrestling thing started because that's what we had in common. Alonzo, Babyface, and I, we were wrestling fans, and I think the thing, in order for this show to be successful, if I've learned anything from Howard Stern, is you got to be yourself, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why not incorporate the things that we like? So wrestling, and then tacos and baseball. So that's where the wrestling thing came about.
It's super popular.
Oh yeah. Wrestling is wrestling is a thing. Boatman. Now, for people who don't know or forget, the Boatman is the voice of the South Bay Lakers. Okay, so like the Boatman he carries weight around here. So for the Boatman to come in and help us when he can was great. Boatman, be honest. What did you think you were getting yourself into?
I was hoping for a two-way contract like we do in the G League, but I haven't got that yet.
And I loved it right from the beginning because he started with his hatred of Austin Barnes. And I said, this is awesome because I no longer have to be the Prince of Darkness on this show. The Boatman is going to come in here with the heat. He's going to bring in the hot takes, and he's not afraid to take down everybody,
including Noah Syndergaard.
Yeah,
but I've dropped that. I dropped that. I actually did a full episode with Roger the other day and did not mention Syndergaard once. So there you go. No, look, I'll say this. I'm really excited. Where did you say we rank right now? Number 65?
Number 65. I'm telling you, I think Roger's surprised. I mean, Roger the other day was just like, what's going on? I was like, yeah, maybe they're clicking on our podcast by mistake. Who knows?
Now imagine how high we'll rank when this show turns into the Shohei show. I mean, it's going to be amazing. That's the only reason why I joined you guys. I'm waiting for this to be the Shohei show. You guys will be top 10. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's awesome. And then another person who came to help us out as a contributor, and now we've glossed him, we baptized him with the name of Canelo. He is the Canelo of the team. Poor Cody is just like, really? It's like past midnight where I'm at right now. I came on the show for this bullshit. But Cody writes, he writes for Dodgers Beat. Cody also has the Diamond Club. He's got a lot of stuff. Cody knows. And plus, Cody had to spend like 24 hours in Washington, D.C. hanging out with Bill Plunkett. So like Cody has put in the service. Cody, how did you get involved with this?
Honestly, it's like you mentioned, I was looking for a place to write about the Dodgers and baseball. And, I've been with a couple other like Facebook blogs and stuff like that where they talked with the fans, and I wrote a couple little articles here and there. But then I've read Dodgers Beat briefly, and then I saw there was just a tab that said, "Hey, join it." So I just shot an email, and then pretty much they got back to me right away. I mean, that happened pretty much like a year ago, and to where everything that I've done now with the website, the podcast, and then that entire event in DC, like I would have never known that was going to happen like a year ago. So um, it's been awesome. It's been great to kind of spread this podcast and this page over on the East Coast because, you know, what we've talked about, like, what do Dodger fans do well? And what have all these guys say? Like, we are one of the best fan bases in the world. And especially in baseball, I would say we're the number one because I've seen them take over. Amy's seen them take over Fenway. I've seen them take over Citizens Bank Park. And these are places that are hundreds of miles away from Los Angeles. And it just shows goes to show you what the Dodgers mean, not only to the fans in LA, but to the country. So even here, all the way on the East Coast in the small state of Delaware, you know, they still mean a bunch to me. And just briefly being on this podcast with everybody here, you know, it is different. You know, there's a lot more cultures here. You see that a lot more way to be free and say your opinions, whether people agree with them or not. But we'll say them, and hopefully people listen to them.
And last but not least, La Reina de Playa Larga, who I met in the press box at Dodger Stadium. And, you know, when it was just Roger and I doing the show, and I was like, you know, I need some help over here. I asked La Reina if she would come on the show, and she's been great. And Reina, I know I gave it, that's my version of the story, but why did you agree to come on this show?
Because I love baseball and I love what you guys were doing. Like, I actually, before I met you in the press box, it was during like the COVID seating where all of us season ticket holders got kind of moved around the stadium. You walked by my section in Top Deck before I got to go to my actual seats, and you were wearing Bleed Lowe's podcast, like everywhere. Polo, hat, everything. And then I think the next week I saw you in the press box and I was like, hey, you're on that podcast. And then we just got to talking and I don't know, became friends. And when you asked me to be on, I was a little nervous, but I love baseball. I love talking about it. And I love what this podcast stands for. I love the fact that it's representation, because whether it's culture, whether it's, you know, whatever it means to you as a female, as a Latina, I never feel like I really fit in anywhere. Baseball, you know, anywhere. And this place gives me a place to feel like I actually belong. And I love that.
That's awesome. I mean, the fact that, you know, we just made Cody an honorary Mexican, and he just goes along with it. He goes, sure, Tony, no problem. Like, that's a Scarface reference for anybody out there. But look, as usual, we took longer than what we were supposed to, but this means a lot to us. It's 200 episodes. We are now, there's only one Dodger podcast ahead of us. And this, I just want to say this, I think it's very big of us, okay? The host of that show, Jeff Snyder, we had as a guest on this show. So we're not afraid to bring our quote unquote competition on the show and interact with them. Jeff is very knowledgeable. He knows his stuff. And Locked On Dodgers is a great show. But we bring a little different sabor to this. So if you're coming across this podcast for the very first time, you can listen to Jeff's show, but then you can also listen to us. So there are a lot of Dodger podcasts out there. There's a lot of places where you guys can get information on the Dodgers. We are just so thankful that you guys keep listening to us. And I do have to pinch myself when I do see that we are in the top 100 baseball podcasts in all USA, going up against podcasts that maybe have some more established talent, so to speak, on there. Before I throw it to Roger to wrap this up, I just want to, Elisa Hernandez, a big thank you to Elisa. Some of you guys know Elisa does the in-stadium hosting for the Dodgers, but Elisa just recently became the producer for Sunday Night Football for Telemundo. So Elisa's doing big things. So we can understand why Elisa can't join us. But Babyface, you want to wrap this up?
Like I think you said it perfectly. I mean, this podcast is it just feels different to me. I think even though we all talk about the same thing, I think like you said, we give it a different flavor, right? We just talk about it differently, I think. And especially what's very important to me is that we have a female perspective, right? You know, we have Amy and Alicia on here, and they're bringing their perspective, right? Something that I don't see other podcasts doing. You know, everybody may talk about it, but I don't see people doing it. And I'm very grateful that we do that because we're all baseball fans, right? And we all learn from each other. And I think it's great to have all these different perspectives on here. So I think that's one of the biggest things for me. But I look forward to another 200 episodes and big things, and hopefully we crack the top 50. That'd be pretty cool. But once again, thank you guys for everything.
Yay for being 69 minus 4.
There you go.
Anybody want to say any last words before we go to break?
Just thank you to everybody.
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Without-
Representation matters.
Yeah, representation
Absolutely.
matters. And thank you for listening to our shitty wrestling takes too. Like that means a lot.
How funny. We're going to have a lot more chances and opportunities for giveaways and to get together too. So make sure you stay tuned for that.
Yes. Also stay tuned for the postseason because according to the last live, it seems like everybody was begging for live post-game shows. Was I reading that correctly, Babyface?
No, I saw that. We'll have to figure out a way to do that, but you know, we'll do it.
So basically, what you're going to see on here is one combination. You're up here. Is going to be doing post-game shows of the Dodgers. So make sure you tune in. We can either share our joys or we can share our grief. We can do it. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Alonzo. I cut you off.
I was gonna say I thought Roger was about to say no, we're not gonna do them. Nobody asked for it. That's what it sounded like he was going with.
That would totally be on brand.
Yes.
No, there was. I saw one person ask for it, so I'm they're going to do it.
And Juan and Roger, there we go. When do we start?
That's all we need is just one person.
When do we start
the
the show podcast? Yeah, that's what I'm interested in. The post.
Well, let's ask Amy because Amy's going to be the one hosting that because Amy's the one that wants it so bad, right?
Never.
I'll take
all I want is for this show to be big in Japan. That's all I've ever wanted in life is to be a big deal in Japan. And if Shohei comes here, there's a possibility.
There you go.
Look, Alonzo mentioned it, and I don't want to like poo-poo this, but we are big internationally. Like he mentioned our hermanos in Israel. When like early on in the show, we were like the #1 baseball podcast in Israel.
That's true. That's not a bit. That's actually true.
Yeah, it's not a bit. And then our Armenian brothers came and they discovered us. And then we became the #1 baseball podcast in Armenia.
Yep.
So look, this is an international show. Like people want to know about the Dodgers. They want to get that news. And so they tune into the Bleed Lows podcast to get that news. So anyways, that's a big thank you for everybody. Let's go ahead. Let's take a break. And then when we come back, we'll talk about some Dodger news. And making a return visit to the Carne Asada, it's all your guys' favorite Major League Baseball manager, the manager of the Dodgers of Los Angeles, Dave Roberts. Dave, ¿cómo estás, amigo?
Todo bien, todo bien. Gracias.
I love when you guys show off your Spanish. It's so
impressive. Pretty good accent too, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Dave, look, it's been about the team all year long. You have mentioned that it's your favorite team. I really want to take the time, though, and talk about what you've accomplished this year, because I think you get taken for granted. I know you're going to fight me on this, but I think you are in the Phil Jackson stage of managing where people take you for granted because not only do you have a team of superstars, but this year's team's a little different. You got some rookies. So I know you're a humble man, Dave, but I mean, you've accomplished. I mean, your winning percentage is ridiculous. And I'm not just talking about this year. Your winning percentage is a career. This is your 8th year now. You've won 7 divisions. Dave, is it not time for you to win Manager of the Year?
You know what? I really appreciate that, man. I really do. And I think it's one of those things where, to be criticized a lot certainly get credit when it's due. I think for me, I really, at the core, I love baseball. I love the Dodgers. I think part of my job is to take a lot of the heat for players, and because the game's hard, and that's okay. And I think as a fan, I just appreciate the passion that Dodger fans have. So sometimes they can be hypercritical, but I don't take it personal because, to truth be told, is they don't have all the information, and so there's things that happen or don't happen that they don't have all the information that I'm not going to divulge, and I'll wear it, and that's okay at times. But I do know that the coaches, the players have my respect, and I have their respect, and I am proud of the fact that, regardless of who you are, you like sports, you like baseball, you love the Dodgers. You watch our club play; they play with passion, joy, and they play the game the right way, and they're stand-up men. So I'm proud of that.
And it's noticed, Dave, because friend of the carne asada, Heath Bell, comes on the show reluctantly, gritting his teeth, compliments you and the organization. He tells us all the time, I hate to say this because I hate the Dodgers, but he says it. I mean, what you do is it's you make it look easy, but especially with this team, the way that you got, how have you ever had this many rookies that you had to help cultivate? Because that's what, like, everybody here admires the Dodgers organization, is how you guys coach these guys up.
I love every bit of it. And, a lot of the stuff that isn't captured is the conversations I'll have with young players in the locker room, in the food room, on the bench, and just talk about, sequencing and building confidence and trust and what to look for. And those, for me, I'm a coach at heart. And so I love pouring into players. Some of the stuff that gets talked about a lot, that's not the good stuff. The good stuff is, trying to get these guys to grow up in the big leagues and learn how to be a professional. So for me, certainly by some things unforeseen, injury and other things, we're kind of here with these young players, and it's been fantastic. And we have a lot of great veterans around to help these guys along. But like I've said, guys, this has been my most joyful season. And a lot of it has to do with how well these guys like each other, care about each other, and play for one another. So for me, like all you guys, I'm really looking forward to seeing how it manifests in the postseason.
There you go, Alicia. Go ahead. Tell them what you always wanted to say to them.
That's literally that's what I wanted to bring up, Dave, is nobody had the Dodgers in this position. You're not supposed to be here, which makes this feat another season of almost, you're one game away from 100 wins, another fourth full season in a row of 100 wins. My co-host mentioned the titles, we are so spoiled as Dodger fans. What is different? I don't want to say favorite about this team compared to last year's team, because last year's team was a machine, right? They weren't supposed to lose, but this year seems kind of magical. What is it?
I think it's, there's a couple players that I think are a big part of it. But if I had to pick one person, I would say Jason Hayward. I think, a person that he's a grinder. He's been through it. He's a stand-up a guy as you will ever meet. He holds guys accountable. And I think, and I talk to our guys about this a lot, what is a good teammate? A good teammate is not just a person you take to dinner and you hang with on the, in the off season. That's a friend. A good teammate is somebody that's going to call you out when you don't want to hear it. And that's going to set the bar high for you and for the ball club. Right. And so Jason is a great teammate. He's a great friend. And, even his shoes that he has, it says Los Dodgers on his shoes. And for me, it is just so cool where you have a person that just came over for 1 year, and hopefully we'll get him out for next year. But to buy into the Dodgers in 1 year, it's pretty amazing. And people just have to follow in line. But Alicia, to your question, I just think for me is we got here in a different way. But I think it's like guys sort of understanding their different roles and they support one another. David Peralta, Miguel Rojas, those guys are gold. And the way they've kind of poured into the young players. So it's a combo. We got a lot of talent. I think we got great coaches. We got good young players, great front office, and it's just the whole kind of perfect storm. But to do what we do every year, it's I just want everyone in our Dodger Nation fans to just like enjoy the ride, man, because we got something special going on.
We do, and we can feel it. We talk about it often, and just when it feels like we should be panicking as Dodger fans with all the injuries and everything you as a manager had to deal with, we are still here. You guys get a bye. You get to coast into October, but you're not coasting. You have something coming up special for the fans on Wednesday. And tell us how that came about, because that's unusual, right? Tell us about Wednesday.
It is.
Lead up to October playoff.
Yeah. So Andrew Friedman, president of baseball operations, reached out and was like, hey, what do you think about if we have the season ticket holders, give them an opportunity to come watch us work out? And so we're going to do it on Wednesday at 5:00. And I'm excited. I think the players are excited. And it just adds a little bit of intensity. And it's just something different for season ticket holders to kind of watch us do an inter-squad simulated game. We're going to have a little bit of money on it, the Mookie and Freddie team, and it'll be fun. So we're going to do that, and it's going to be a fun week as we prepare for whatever opponent we have. But I'm excited, guys. I really am, for all of us.
So before I hand it back to Juan, I don't want you to have to give away any strategy, and I know this is a little unorthodox, but I'm gonna ask you this as a personal question, friend to friend. If you could only have one game, is it the 7th or the 9th, the 1 or the 2? This could be Kershaw's last time. We could be seeing greatness for the last time in a Dodger uniform. I don't want that. But which should we choose? Is he going 1 or 2? I mean, we won't tell anybody, right? We'll just keep it right here amongst the people.
I think, yeah, let's keep it here, but I think it would be a safe bet. Game 1 is a safe bet.
There you go, Alicia. Buy your tickets for game 1 then.
I won't miss it. I don't think Dodger fans understand. That's something else that we've taken for granted, right, Dave? That Kershaw he doesn't have to come back. If he does, what a gift. But this really could be every time he pitches. We need to be there and support him, because this is Hall of Famer. This is Kershaw, Dave. This is straight out of Kershaw. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, making a big
deal?
No,
you're right. You're right. And there's just not going to be another one like him, who just does things the right way with one team his entire career. He's a pro through and through. The performance, what he's done, what he's meant for the organization. He and Sandy Koufax are still really close. So I don't take an outing of his for granted. And so, yeah, I mean, Alicia, you nailed it. You really nailed it.
Dave, I want to be respectful of your time. So before we let you go, I just have a couple questions for you. You are an extremely humble person. I mean, this is coming from the man who has the most postseason wins for a Dodgers manager in history. And the guy's only been managing the team for 8 years. It's insane. But I loved hearing what you had to say after the game yesterday about you and Kai Correa. For our listeners, our viewers who aren't familiar with this, but Friday night's game was the first time that we've had Asian American descent managers facing one another. And I think Kai got a lot of heat last night, because of the call. But then there was a lot of heat where people were just like, oh, well, he's never played the game. And to a T, you were so classy in your response, giving him credit for the work he did put in to get to the position that he's in. Look, representation matters to us here on this show, Dave. And you mentioned Jason Hayward putting Los Doyers on his shoes. And I know you said that you don't take the whole responsibility of representing all Asian Americans in Major League Baseball. But the fact that you acknowledged it, there's going to be young people who look at you and see that, and even though you don't bring attention to it yourself, they see it and they say, "I can do it because Dave Roberts is doing that." Does that ever really? Do you ever give yourself time to think about that?
I don't do it very often. I really appreciate you saying that. I think, there was a point, I think, in COVID, all the political, social struggle, strife. I think I just, at a certain point, I just got tired of hearing all the negativity. And I just finally realized that I have a voice, a platform to speak out about what's right and what's good. And I do think that diversity, equity, inclusion, I really believe in that. And, the people that, say that Kai Correa shouldn't be on a major league field because he never played in the big leagues. That's what's wrong in this world, and holding people back. And, they have a woman, a female on their staff as well, who works as hard as any guy. And so I think that, just treating people fairly and giving them opportunities is everything. And so, at home plate, he just came to me and said, "Hey, I just want to tell you, I appreciate what you've done to give somebody that looks like me an opportunity at the major league level." So when I hear that, that's mind blowing, because I don't do my job for that. I do my job because I love baseball. It's kind of manifested into bigger and actually, quite frankly, more important issues. But yeah, I really appreciate you raising that one. And I kind of, as you see me for 8 years, man, I kind of get the narrow day at a time, try not to get too high, try not to get too low. But those moments mean something to me because it is more important than baseball. Yeah.
Dave, I just had to give you your flowers, and I really appreciated that answer yesterday. And also, I mean, you're representing two cultures. You're like, this is what society is now today. We're all a little bit of everything now. So,
we are, and that's the thing is that the Dodgers are about diversity and breaking barriers, and so is our country. And I just, right is right, and treating people with respect and love. And love is something that people don't want to hear, man. It's like that word is hard for people to wrap their head around. And, when they see me as uber positive and relentlessly positive, they just can't wrap their head around that. They're like, this is just not right. Why isn't he cynical and negative? And that's just not who I am. And, there's a reason we go out there and play our tails off every night and have fun doing it, because me, the coaching staff, and we got a lot of great players that are positive, look at the world that way. And that's a good thing.
I just want to end it with this, because I know you won't do it, so I have to beat the drum for you. Your Manager of the Year award, it's due. It needs to come your way. But the fact that you just mentioned what you did, the positivity, the fact that you were able to combine that with the rookies, and at the same time have that conversation that we see you with Kershaw in the dugout, say, "No, man, it's time for you to. You've done enough." How much do you dread that conversation, Dave? Are there certain guys on that team that like when you tell Freddie, "Hey, take a day off, man. Come on, dude, just take a day off."
Yeah. That's those are, you learn to have hard conversations in my job. But I think that I built enough equity with both those guys to know that, I have their best interest in mind. And you never want the guy that wants to come out or doesn't want to play. And that's okay. And I've learned you can't take things personal. That's what you want out of guys. And so, I used to dread those Kershaw days, because at some point we were going to have those conversations. But you know what? It's worked out great. And I couldn't be luckier to say that I've managed Clayton Kershaw. And, I'm very fortunate. Yeah.
All right, you got 2 more games. We're letting you go, Dave. Are we going to see you do the Freddie? Will you chime in, or is that just a player-only thing?
So I do let the players do their thing. If Freddie somehow gets 2 doubles on that 60th double, you will see me rock in the Freddie for him, for the Dodger Nations. And I'm going to come out of character and rock the Freddie. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, everybody. You guys all got to watch that. We're going to look.
Right.
So, Dave, thank you very much. Good luck in the playoffs. We hope you bring it home. And thank you for your time.
Thanks for having us, guys. Take care. Juan, Alicia, you guys are the best.
And a big thank you once again to Dave Roberts, the manager of the Dodgers of Los Angeles. Look, let's give the flowers where the flowers are due. When we're talking about MVP, the real MVP there was La Princesa of Picolandia, because La Princesa was able to get the game 1 starter out of Dave Roberts. Princesa, take a bow.
No, I wasn't kidding. I really need to know because I can only go to one of the 2 games here at Dodger Stadium. And I don't want to miss Kershaw. I was not trying to get breaking news, but I'm glad. Thank you to Manager of the Year, Dave Roberts. At least that's what we're manifesting, for confirming what I said. Kershaw will go number 1. It's just legacy, man. He deserves it, and it's great leadership. I'm just happy that he's going game 1, and that's the game I'll be at. Woo-hoo.
Yeah. Okay. So we knew it was either going to be Kershaw and look, we had a very limited amount of time with Dave Roberts. So there was a lot of stuff that we wanted to ask him that we didn't get even a chance to get to. So obviously a follow-up to that after he had said Kershaw was, it makes sense because of the way the schedule is for the NLDS. Saturday is game 1, Sunday there's an off day. Then you have game 3, and then you have another off day. So by having Kershaw go 1 and all these off days, if you need to bring back Kershaw, I think it gives him enough rest that he won't have to go on short rest. I know people will probably are going to be upset, and they're going to want, why isn't Bobby Miller going at game 1? But another thing that I know is going to piss off certain viewers and listeners of this show is how we were washing Dave's balls about Manager of the Year. Look, guys, I don't think this is ball washing. Seriously, I mean, what he has done, and I know that Skip Schumacher of the Marlins of Miami is going to get some love for the stuff that he's done, but Alicia said it. Nobody thought the Dodgers would get to this point. How many people? I mean, I think they maybe topped off at maybe 92 wins. I don't think anybody had the Dodgers winning 100 games. I think there is a legitimate argument, and I think you talked about this before with the Boatman, right, Babyface?
Yeah, because I mean, you take the body of the work, right? And this is regular season, right? We're not talking about anything that's going to happen in the postseason, right? Take the regular season, right? You're not expected to win. You're expected to probably compete for maybe that 2nd or 3rd wild card. You're not expected to win the division.
Right.
And then they get decimated, right? With their starting pitching, all the injuries that happen, right? Then you have off-field issues with Julio, right? And still to navigate this team to win, they're going to get more than likely 100 wins, right? They got 2 games left. I mean, to do all that, through all that adversity, Dave Roberts has to be at that top of that list.
Now, will he win, Princesa, do you think?
I do not, because they're the Dodgers. The Dodgers are the villains. Nobody wants to give the Dodgers any love, any props, from the MVP, from the Manager of the Year. I mean, last season, when Roberts was on his 3rd full season of 100-win games, they were a machine before the postseason, just like Babyface mentioned. No, it was already a given. They gave it to the Mets, who didn't do you know what in the postseason. So just like they're already giving, they meaning MLB, the talking heads, they predicted San Diego to win the division. They were already giving them the World Series. Nobody thought the Dodgers would be here. And I'm not even giving 100 games. The 100 games just sounds good because what other team has done it under one manager? The Dodgers. And the 100 games on top of another division title, and they've looked good for the postseason. I don't care what anybody says. Babyface, I wanted to add with what you said on why Dave Roberts should get his flowers and Manager of the Year. He's also managing, with those injuries, young pitchers,
Mhm.
with veteran guys who are new to Los Angeles, guys that other teams threw away, like Hayward. Look how Hayward has thrived, you know? And again, Juan, we didn't have enough time to get into everything we wanted to talk to, but I wanted to bring up how the Dodgers players voted Jason Hayward for this year's winner of the Roy Campanella Award, which is voted on by the team. And you have a clear definition of what constitutes the Roy Campanella Award, which is started by our friend of the Carne Asada, Ned Coletti. There's just so much going on this season that Roberts has had to deal with that I don't think other managers have had to deal with. And by the way, you brought up Julio, like that's not fun either. Like we're here as Dodger fans spoiled, and yet Dave Roberts mentioned in the beginning, Juan, did he not? I'm here to take the heat. He knows his role. Go ahead, throw it, shoot the arrows at me. You know, like he knows, and that makes me love him even more. When people come at us and say, "Oh, you're, washing his balls," I'm like, okay, fine. Who do you want? Well, I just don't want him. But who? Who are you gonna get right now that's gonna do better? No one has an answer. So, and don't you come at me with, who that just got fired.
Well, I know, because when we did the live, people were already bringing up the Dave Roberts in the playoffs and the decision making, and this year the playoffs, what they do with the pitching is going to be very, very interesting, because
Right.
they are going to have to get creative with what they're going to do with the pitching rotation. But a couple of things that stood out for me from that interview, and again, because we didn't have enough time, we really didn't get a chance to delve into some of his answers. But when he started off, like you said, Princesa, acknowledging he's aware of the criticism.
Yes.
I really wanted to ask him about the criticism that Friedman gets the credit. Friedman's the one that pulls the strings on this. And to me, it's like, all right, you guys say that, but look, we've seen it. We see how Roberts talks to Kershaw in the dugout. Who do you think's talking to those rookies? It's not Friedman. Roberts is the one. So when you bring it up, Princesa, the development of these rookies and how he had to bring them on, I would have loved to have talked to him about that. The other thing that I really appreciate him doing this, and friend of the Carne Asada, Rob Bradford, told me this a while back, and I agree with him. Players in baseball, people that are involved in baseball, usually don't like to say things because they hate confrontation. And that's usually when it's about politics. They don't like to take a stand because they don't want confrontation. And you have a whole different mindset in that clubhouse. Not everybody is on unison.
Especially in baseball, right? Baseball is
Exactly.
even more close-lipped than the other two major sports in America.
So to hear him talk about the Kai Correa situation and how he is a role model in the Asian American community, and it's not like Dave Roberts is a peacock and he goes around saying, look at me, and he's literally a guy that you can say leads by example. And if you saw the post game on Friday, I commend him, because Kai Correa was getting trashed all over Twitter. And I know he was getting trashed because he challenged that play with Miguel Rojas, but he was also getting trashed from all the people, the old school heads, all the ones that hate sabermetrics, and they were hating on the dude because he never played baseball. So for the fact that Dave Roberts stood up for him, that to me was super impressive.
Super. That's in line with his character, is it not, babyface? Like, when even at his lowest, whatever your stand is on how he performs in the postseason, which Juan brought up, he still takes the high road. He is a very classy, very positive person, and he leads by example, right?
Absolutely. Babyface, any last words before we wrap this up?
I threw it to babyface. Are you still thrown off? Because did I see wax balls or wash balls? I never use that phrase. What's the correct phrase?
Ball washing. It's all about ball wash.
Okay,
I guess
I know, because I'm a golfer, so I'm like, oh, I should use that phrase. But I think when I said it, I'm like, that didn't sound right.
You know what? I had one of our listeners reach out to me and say, Juan, I don't think you realize ball washing is not as common a term as you think it is. So I think
Oh,
there's people out there who are not familiar with ball washing. So ball
okay.
washing is maybe the expression that is used when we're trying to butter someone up and kiss their ass. Ball washing just sounds so much cooler. But babyface, the floor is yours.
No, with Roberts, I think that taking everything aside, yes, I get the criticism. People don't like the way he manages, the bullpen or whatever, or the postseason, right? But I've always taken that like, you know what? You're discussing this after the fact, right? After he brings in a player because they're supposed to do their job, right? And maybe they don't do it that day, and then after the fact, it's like, oh, you see, you shouldn't have brought him.
Yeah.
But if they would have went out there and done their job, nobody's saying nothing, right? So
Right.
that's one of the biggest things with that. But the other thing with Dave is he gets guys to buy in, right? No matter
Yes.
who the player, the superstars, right? He gets guys to buy in. They're all like you mentioned, Jason Hayward. There was that game where Jason Hayward hit a home run, right? Like in the first, second, and then he pulled them because they changed pitchers, right? And these
Yeah.
guys aren't pissed off. They're not complaining. They're doing what they got to do to win that game. And
To
then you
win.
take you take other teams, right, that have superstars, but they don't have a Dave Roberts. And I think Dave Roberts is what gets all these guys together and makes them gel. So I think that's the biggest thing with Dave Roberts. Take everything else aside, just the person he is, the character he is, the manager he is. He gets all these guys to buy in.
Yeah, and bottom line, love him or hate him, he's gotten the Dodgers to where they need to be today. You cannot argue that. Whether you like the way he does it or not, he's still here. And I'm sorry, just don't come at us. Like Dave Roberts himself said, enjoy the ride, right? I think he might have been talking to you, Prince of Darkness. Enjoy the ride. Don't panic, right?
I'm just helpful. I'm just thankful he didn't call me out because he usually
Right?
sees my face right in front of him during the pregame scrums, and he's just like, this guy's always asking stupid questions. But anyways, look, I think we all know who. Go ahead, Princesa.
This is one thing I wanted to bring up because we ran out of time. His costume for Dodger
Yes.
dress up day. Again, I so badly, but you're right. We're pressed because we just have so much we want to talk to him about, and it's an exciting time going into October. But today was USC versus Colorado. Dave Roberts went viral wearing his costume. Coach Prime. Speaking of buying in, Dave Roberts got his guys to dress up like Coach Prime's assistant coaches at Colorado and security. It was classic, was it not? And as a Trojan,
Except for
I
one
know he
guy.
did that.
One guy didn't buy in. Did you see that?
No. Who?
The one guy who didn't buy in was Mark Pryor. He was dressed up as Lincoln Riley because Mark Pryor is a USC alum.
Dang it, I missed that.
Go back and see the big picture that they posted, the one that you so angrily were talking about Major League Baseball only posting one picture. And by the way, we all know Brewstar won the costume contest, by the way. I mean, Brewstar won the costume contest. Can we all agree? Babyface, back me up on this.
He won, but I said this earlier too. A close second, Colton Wong. Colton Wong had the
Colton Wong, but my vote, Jon Snow.
I knew it. I knew it was coming. I knew it.
I love Game of Thrones, and he looks like the body double of. Anyway, his name's Kit, the real enemy.
There you have it. So, yeah. On that note, we all know who won this episode. This episode belongs to the Princesa of Picolandia. So, anyways, by the way, guys, I just want to remind everyone, thank you. 200 episodes. I can't believe that when we first started this, that we would have made it to 200 episodes. And the fact that this is Dave Roberts' second time on the show, all the guests that have come on the show, it's just been a fantastic ride. So once again, make sure you guys are subscribed, and not only to the podcast, but to the YouTube channel. We have a lot of content that is specifically to the YouTube channel. And as you can see, we are a show that matters because we get people who come on this show and have to listen to our stupid questions, but they come on. So that being said, Babyface, any last words?
And breaking news too, right? So we got breaking news today. So
yeah,
Yes.
breaking news. So we'll
Thank
see
you,
that.
Dave. Kershaw Day. Kershaw Day.
Kershaw Day. So yo ha sido su servidor Juan Ramírez de parte de mi colega, la princesa de Picolandia, Alicia Del Valle, and Babyface. Nos vemos para la próxima. This episode of the Bleed Lows podcast has been brought to you by betonline.ag, where the game starts.